Hey, welcome back to a new video.
So this video we've got something a bit more interesting happening.
So we bought a diesel heater, not yesterday, day before. It's 2 days ago. It arrived yesterday, which is really good considering we're in lockdown and we got it next day delivery still. Brilliant. But we've decided to get a diesel heater mainly because we've had a few cool nights where it's got down to like 3 or 4 degrees and it's been a bit uncomfortable. Not to the point of where we're having to layer up too much, but definitely where you want to be under the blanket, else you're too cold. So we decided to actually invest in a diesel heater and fit it today. We was always going to get one for the winter anyway, but we've just basically bought it a bit sooner than we thought we was going to buy it. So hopefully we should get it all installed today, but obviously we'll show you along how it goes.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be cold this weekend, so it's perfect time really.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to get down to like 2 degrees and maybe even 1 degree one night. And that's not, it feels like, either that's just like the actual air temperature, so it's probably going to get really cold. So hopefully this is installed by then and we can actually be nice and comfy inside the van with some warmth at night.
Yeah, we have been using the, the gas canister one's heater.
Yeah, it's just like a little gas heater.
And it's alright, but you don't really want it on for too long because you can kind of smell all the gases and stuff after it's been on for a couple of days.
Exactly,
So it's alright for taking the chill off.
Yeah, it's alright for like 10 minutes max, and that's what we usually do.
Yeah, and then you'll usually have a bit of the window open as well.
Yeah.
So then you kind of losing heat anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to go and poison yourself.
But hopefully this will be a lot more comfy.
Yeah, and safer as well, which should be good.
Because I wasn't expecting it to be this cold in May.
No, neither was I.
So the first task is to clear out the van and empty under the bed, as this is where we plan on putting the diesel heater.
So we thought we will end up using this when we actually use the little toilet that we've got. We've seen it online about cat litter is supposed to be pretty good, so we haven't used it yet because obviously we've got a toilet here, but we'll eventually be using that. This is all Tava's toiletries.
No. Yeah, we don't think we're going to be taking this anymore. We were going to originally take it, but we seem to be alright just living off solar, so because we've got the relay and the solar, we should be fine.
Yeah, it saves a lot of space taking this out. As you can imagine, in a small van, this takes up quite a lot of room.
So we've now got everything from under the bed.
So now I'll just quickly show you the diesel heater that we bought and that we're going to be fitting into the van. So this is the box that it all came in. It actually come inside another box, typical in Amazon, wasting cardboard, but it came inside an even bigger box than that. But you open it up and you got 2 boxes at the front. This has got all your bits in it. So this has got like the little exhaust, your piping and all your cables and stuff. And then this one here actually has the diesel heater in it. So that's the diesel heater. We haven't actually got it out of here yet, so this is the first time I'm actually getting it out myself. Yeah, so that's the actual diesel heater. Not too sure which end's which at the minute. I'll have to actually look into it. You've got 2 holes at the bottom. One's an exhaust hole and one's an inlet hole, and then you've got a little fuel line that you put your fuel line onto. And then also inside of that, you've got your little controller, and then you've also got a remote, which is pretty cool because it means we can put a remote on the van keys, and then we can always just put it on. I don't know how far you have to be, or how close you have to be, sorry, to the actual van for this to work, but it'd be pretty cool if you can be, a fair distance away and put it on. But if not, you can obviously just use the standard control panel that you'll actually mount inside the van. You got your fuel pump inside as well, and then let's just move that out. Make sure not to drop it. So this is the plate that we got with it. We've seen in a couple of YouTube videos there was different plates where you had to cut like a really big hole into the floor of the van and then the plate kind of mounts in. I was hoping we didn't get that one because I'd rather just cut 2 holes this size rather than a really big hole. So yeah, I'm glad we got this one with ours and not the other one. I don't know if they still do the other one or if they all come now with these, but the one that we've got did come with this, which I was happy about. And then this is the fuel tank. So it's just standard thick plastic, 10 litres fuel tank. Some paperwork here. The instructions don't look the best. It's kind of just, that's it. That's all the instructions you get. Just a little diagram. But to be fair, all the wiring's already put in for the diesel heater. All we've got to do is just connect the negative and positive to the negative and positive of this wiring loom, and then just fit it all, so it shouldn't actually be too bad. I think the worst part, or the hardest part, sorry, will just be drilling the 2 holes in the floor of the van for to put the inlet in and the exhaust into. I think that'll be the most nervous part, because obviously we don't like drilling holes in the van.
So we've been looking around and we think this is where we're going to put the fuel tank. We could also put it here, but I think this will be the best place, as the heater will literally be the other side of the bed.
So we're thinking of putting the diesel heater here. It's going to kind of go this way round, and the vent's going to come out here. But what I need to do now is just take off the covering underneath the van and just make sure there's nothing that's, obviously that'll catch if I drill 2 holes in here. Yeah, so there's plastic casing running the whole length of the van underneath on this side. I've just got to remove that and make sure there's nothing that I'm going to catch when I drill through the floor. So underneath on that side of the van, so I can use it as a marker, I've just put a rice bag. Yeah, so I've just used put a bag of rice on that side, so I know roughly where the marker is going to be. And then obviously, but it's on this side of the van, so I just need to figure that bit out. This might be a bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, because I don't know how far into the van we are on this side, and the exhaust is on this side as well, so this should be interesting. And they are tiny screws. Hopefully it's tiny and not sheared off. I reckon that's sheared off, because they are a bit rusty and stuff under here as well. The screws, that is, not anything else. I'm going to have to go get a little wire brush, I think, and give them a little rub to get some of the rust off, so I can get this on better. So I've got the wire brush now. I've decided to put some goggles on as well, just so I don't get any rust falling in my eyes, because I don't fancy that. Yeah, so I'm just going to give these a bit of a rub, and hopefully doing that will take some of the excess rust off, and I can get the socket on a bit easier. Yeah, see, I think that screw's definitely sheared off. So I'm going to take the rest of them out just so I can take it off and I can see a lot easier. So now that's taken off, I can actually have a look under there, and it looks in pretty good condition, to be fair. It's the first time I've actually seen under that. So now I've just got to have a look at where I can actually mount these holes, because there isn't that much space, to be honest. So I've just got the tape measure out. What I'm going to do is measure in how far I can go from this end, and then when I get inside the van, I'll measure that in from the wall, and it should be roughly about the same. Alright, so this is not the best angle, but I've just got a little drill on the drill, on the drill, just to pilot hole it from this side, so then I'll know where I can drill safely, obviously without catching anything. I've also measured out the distance between both pipe holes on the actual heater itself, and it's 6 centimeters from the middle of each one to the, from the middle of each one. So that's 6 centimeters. So when I drill the first hole, I'll measure 6 centimeters away from the first hole, and that should obviously line up with the second hole, and it should obviously, then when I can get inside, I can drill the bigger holes in for the actual pipes to come out, and it should obviously all line up nicely. This is the nerve-wracking part though, always. Alright, so I've come inside the van now. I've just got a Stanley knife out. What I'm going to do, I've got my 2 holes down here. So as you can see, I wanted them further up here, but they're actually down here. But I couldn't come any further this way because there's a main beam running the whole length of the van down there. So what I'm going to do, because obviously there's going to be an exhaust pipe here which is going to get hot, I'm going to cut out a big chunk of the insulation and the flooring, and then cut out the wood that's underneath as well. And then I'll actually drill the holes for the piping to go through just a metal floor. It'll make it easier for the hole saw if you're just going through one material, and it'll also obviously make sure that the exhaust pipe's not catching any of the anything that can set fire to or melt or anything like that. So it makes it safer as well. Right, so what I'm going to do now is drill a really big hole through the wood, because obviously I don't want any wood right next to the exhaust pipe where it's going to get really hot. So I'm going to cut a big hole in with this one, and then I'll step down to a smaller one that's actually just a bit bigger than the pipe that needs to go through the metal. So I'm going to take the wood off first and then step down and then do the metal bit. There we go. That's the first hole cut. Now it's just onto the second one, and then I've got to cut out some of the silver reflectics that we actually put underneath. I forgot we put that there, so I just need to get that up. So now I've switched over to the smaller drill bit, or the smaller hole cutter, sorry. And now I'm just going to try and cut through the metal. This is going to be a bit harder with this one, obviously, because it's harder to cut through metal than wood. So what I've ended up doing for these holes here is actually going under the van. So I've gone under the van and drilled in upwards, because obviously I couldn't get through downways just because the wood around the edge was stopping the hole saw going any deeper. So yeah, so coming up from the underneath is worked a treat. All I've got to do now is just get a file and actually smooth out the edges of the holes just so they don't cut through the pipe, because one of them's metal, the exhaust pipe is, but the inlet pipe is like plasticky, so I don't want that to be cut through or anything. There we go. Now that's all the holes cut in the floor. That's probably one of the riskier parts done. Now we've just got to try and figure out how to actually install it along here, put the pipes down, mount a little bracket, because I need to lift it off the ground so it goes over this bit of wood here. So I need a bit of wood here as well. Mount it all up and then just connect it all in. So this is where I got to at the minute. What I've done is attach the plate onto the actual heater, and then I've put on the exhaust pipe, which is the furthest one away from the fuel line, and then I've done the inlet, air inlet one, which is the black one, and then I've put the fuel line on. This was a bit confusing because this whole strip here, okay, this came as like one really long strip, and it didn't really have instructions of what to do. So what I've used it for, which is I'm pretty sure what it's supposed to be used for, is I've used it to put on here. So the cable, or the pipeline, or fuel line, sorry, runs into the rubber hose, and then that clips on with one of these clips, and then that clips onto there. And it's the same over here as well. So if I show you over here, I've done that exact same. That one's ready to go. All I've got to do is put the fuel lines in there, and then this side I've not done just yet. I'm going to wait until it's a bit more in and secure and ready to actually be tested and stuff, then I'll put that in. But yeah, so what I've got to do now is test fit this. The only thing I'm worried about, when I've just quickly test fitted it a minute ago, and this bit here is really close to the floor and it's quite bent. It's not like bent enough to where there's a kink or anything into it, so I think it should be fine. So I'm going to just test fit it without screwing it down properly, and then put all the fuel line and stuff in, and hopefully I don't have to put like another spacer underneath it. I can't really show you because where it is, it's like in a really tight position, so you definitely won't be able to see it. But yeah, the issue I'm kind of getting in a minute is making sure this doesn't kink, because I was thinking that this hose line would actually go onto the I don't know what you call it, the bit sticking out of this, anyway, the nose sticking out of this, but it doesn't. You have to use this rubber connector here, and obviously that extends it by quite a bit, and because obviously it isn't that far off the ground anyway, yeah, it's not the easiest to fit in, and I don't want to be running the hose outside to run it back inside, because the issue I've got, I'm going to be fitting all this inside the hoses and stuff, and obviously the fuel tank's going to be inside, these fuel filter and the pump's going to be inside, so I think it'll just be easier to fit the whole thing on the inside and not have to like mess about and have this coming from inside outside and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is, let me take you around and show you. I'm going to put the fuel tank there, that's where I'm going to fit it. All I've got to do is I've got to fit a bit of wood in there against the side of that at the end of the bed to mount this to. So that's what I'll be doing there, and then I've just got to run the fuel line down up to the front, and then mount it all up, mount the electrics, which is going to be a tricky part, because if I show you, it's an absolute mess at the minute, but the cable they give you, let me take it into the dark just to make sure it's not overexposed. So the negative has a ring on it and the positive don't, and I'm not sure on our electrical system how the switch is connected. I don't know if our switch is like this. If it is, I'm gonna have to find like a male and female connector to connect this to the positive line that we already have installed in the van, because when we got the van done, it was obviously an electrical system, and they fitted a diesel heater switch already into it. So we just got to try and obviously find that, see how it connects, connect it up, connect the fuel line up, and then we can actually test it, and hopefully it all works. So we'll keep a date on that. Alright, so we've stumbled into an issue, and that is on the wiring loom you get with the heater itself. On the positive, it doesn't have a connector like this, which obviously you need to connect to the battery. And then on the wiring loom we've got with the electrical system we bought, it doesn't have any connectors on that side either to connect back to this wiring loom. So I found a connection, and what I'm having to do with that is put in the connections from this loom into one side and the connections from this loom into the other side, and then hopefully that will obviously work, and then the switches should work that's on the control panel as well to isolate it all, and hopefully that works. If not, we'll have to obviously think of a different solution after that. So after a lot of drama trying to figure out how the wiring loom is going to work, we've managed to figure it out. So what I'm going to do now is actually mount this little block down here, if you can see. I know you're far away, but I'm going to mount this block to the floor, and then the diesel heater is going to sit up between them two and mount to this block and to the bed, so it's permanently mounted and be nice and solid. And then after that, it's literally just plug all the wiring in, sort out the fuel line and the fuel tank, because that looks like it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, and then just plug it all together and hopefully it works. Yeah, hopefully it's not that much longer now, because it is about 4:30, so we've probably got about 4 hours of daylight left, so hopefully we can get it sorted, else we won't be sleeping in here tonight. Right, so now it's time to plumb in the nozzle, or nose, I don't know what you call it, but I'm calling it a nose, into the fuel tank. Annoyingly, it doesn't come already done, and it seems a bit of a nightmare. So I watched a quick YouTube video, and from what he said was you drill a hole in, you can see there's a bit of sticking out there and a bit sticking out there depending on which way around you have it. So I've got to drill a hole through that, and then I've got to try and find a wire or something that will fit through there, because you can't just shove that down there and hope that it falls out the other end. You probably could, but I imagine that'd be really hard. He suggests using a wire of some sort to push it through, and then pull it out that end. So I'm going to give that a crack and hopefully it works. Right, so I've drilled a hole in the bottom, and I've got a coat hanger and just made it as straight as I could, and now I've got to try and feed this through until it comes out the other side. I think you can feed it the other way as well, but now that's coming out the other side. And then what I'm going to do is just feed this nose down, make sure it's going that way in to it, and then kind of just let that fall through, and then it pokes out the bottom, and then just pull the cable out, or the coat hanger, sorry, or wire. You can use wire, and now I've got that in my fingertips, and I can just wiggle that out and pull it out. Now that's out. So you got the rubber seal and the bolt that comes with it. Put the rubber seal around the nozzle, easier said than done when you're holding it like this, and then put the bolt around it. Try not to make sure you don't push the nozzle back in, else you'll be having to restart the whole thing. And then get that to go on, and all you got to do then is just tie that down. Tighten that down, sorry. We'll get a spanner on that in a minute. Just do it as tight as I can with my fingertips. Yeah, then all you got to do is just tighten the nut down, and that should make it nice and tight, and obviously there shouldn't be any leaks or anything coming out, because you've got a rubber seal either side of the hole, so that should obviously seal it all up and make sure it's nice and tight. Right, so Tabitha's sister's just got back from the fuel station with some diesel, because we didn't have any diesel to put in to test it, but everything's all hooked up now. The control panel's coming on. There's a few, we need to tidy a few bits up, but I'm not going to tidy it up until I've tested it. So I'll give you a quick rundown of how we've got it all connected up and how it all is, because I've missed a little bit out just because I was under the bed, and I couldn't really record because it was all a bit too crammed. So let me quickly show you. So we'll start off, there's the control panel mounted there. the control panel comes down to this switch, which is on off. So if I turn that on, that comes on. But it's onto this switch. This switch then goes to another fuse over here, which is a 15 amp fuse. So that goes to the power. And then the fuse goes to that switch. That switch splits and goes to the control panel. Also, it goes down to the actual diesel heater, which is mounted down here. This will be ball boxed in, but obviously it's not at the minute. So, oh, I'll just bump the mic, so you probably hear that. That there is the fuel pump, so that comes from underneath here, underneath the actual diesel heater, comes up into the fuel pump. That's supposed to be at 90 degrees in that way. That's what it says anyway, so yeah, that's how I fitted it. And then it runs from there all the way down to the back. Let me come down there and show you. So it comes down to the back. I don't know if you can really see, but down there is the fuel pump, no, sorry, not fuel pump, the fuel filter. That's connected up to, from the fuel pump down there to the fuel filter, and then that connects round. That connects round to the fuel tank, which is there. That's all obviously connected up. I haven't put much fuel in there because this is just a test run to make sure everything works, nothing smokes or anything goes wrong like that. So yeah, so now it's just time to test it and hope for the best. So now it's time to actually test it. I'm not too sure how you operate the machine, so I'm just kind of going to wing it and hopefully I can figure it out. So I'm going to switch this switch on, which then gives me power to the actual control panel and also power to everything else. I'm just going to turn it on. That says on. Let's just see what happens. I do have air coming out of here though.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not getting warm or anything at the minute.
It might take a second to get warm.
Yeah, I imagine it will take a second to get warm. But at least I've got air coming out of here. So we thought there weren't any fuel coming down and we didn't think the fuel pipe was working. But as you can hear now, the clicking noise, that clicking is the pump and it's pulling diesel through. So maybe it just needed a few minutes running to pull it all through. But it's definitely pulling it through now. So let's just keep an eye on this. Let's just keep an eye on it and see obviously what happens from now. Right, so we had a failure come up on the control panel, and what it was there was too much air in the system, and on the instructions it doesn't say anything about priming it. I watched a quick YouTube video and it actually said that you need to prime it first, so that's what I've been doing now. It's just cut off, so I have to restart it. But what I'm having to do is hold the fuel filter up. Oh, sorry, the fuel filter up to get all the air out of it, because there was a lot of air stuck in this fuel filter, and that's what was causing it the issues. So now if I just put it down like so and then go back and test it, I'll prime it again just to try and suck it all through one more time, and then we'll try and start it again. Hopefully it actually works better. I've turned the temperature up as well, because I figured out how you do that. So I've turned it up to 28 because it's about 20, so it's 20 outside, so it might be 22 inside because that's what it was set at before, so it might just been cutting off. So I've set it to 28, so it should definitely start kicking through some hot air if it's all set up right and working properly now. So as you can see, there's smoke coming out of the vent. That is not good. I don't know what's happened here, but yeah, we just started smelling smoke, and then Tabitha was like, it's smoking, it's smoking, it's smoking. So I've just shut it off at the main switch. We're just going to investigate now to see what's happening. But I thought this was going to be really easy, and it's not turned into an easy install at all. Whether I'm an idiot or something's gone wrong with the setup or something, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we definitely need to do a bit more work on this and make sure it's all right. My heart's picked up a bit. My heart rate's picked up a bit, I'll tell you that. So as you can probably hear, it's quite loud inside, but as you can probably hear, it's working fine now. I've set it up to 25 degrees, so it's really kicking in and burning at a really high temperature. And then we've got no more smoke, which is obviously good. There's nothing flashing up on the control panel. I'm going to leave it running for about 15-20 minutes, and hopefully there's still nothing, no issues, no signs of anything wrong or anything like that. And then we can turn it off. We're probably not going to stay in the van tonight. We're the first time we've not been in the van in a month, which will be a bit weird, but I suppose it'll be quite nice to have a big bed. Tabitha's promised to give me a massage, didn't you, T?
Yeah.
So hopefully I get a nice massage and then come out tomorrow morning and finish the job off, because I've just got to tidy things up, box in the actual heater, and then fit the fuel tank onto the end of the bed so it's all mounted up properly. And then I've just got to sort out the exhaust positioning and the intake positioning and stuff. It's about 7:45 now, so I don't really want to work for too much longer tonight. I'm going to do a bit more, I think, and maybe a bit more tidying up and stuff while Tabitha cooks dinner. And then I think I'm going to chill out because we've got to edit a video for tomorrow? Sunday. So we've got 2 days to edit a video and get it posted and stuff. So yeah, but at least there's no more smoking and it seems to be running fine. Because for 1 minute we did think we'd fucked up really bad when there was kicking out a lot of smoke. At least nothing caught alight or anything like that. I think it was just too much fuel. I think we'd bled it around too much and there was too much fuel in the system and it was just burning a lot of fuel and kicking out a lot of smoke from that. But yeah, so we'll keep you updated. So I thought I'd give you a quick update before we actually start packing up. Tabitha's just gone to go and get his fish and chips because I've been working all day and we ain't had time to cook dinner or anything, so that's what she's gone to do. What I've been doing while she's been gone is I've just sorted out, let me show you down there. So I've just sorted out the fuel tank and mounted that properly. Now we ran it for about half an hour after our last update with you, and it's been perfectly fine. No white smoke at all, nothing flashing on the control panel, so I imagine it's working all right now. At least I'm confident it's working fine now, so I've decided to start mounting things in. I've got to mount this in, and then I've just got to mount the pipe, the fuel pipe inside the van. I'm going to use some little white clips and nail that to the wood that's inside the van, so that's nice and neat. And then I've also got to sort out the exhaust and the air filter. Got to mount them up underneath. They definitely won't be tonight because it's getting dark. I don't know if you can see behind me. The camera lies a little bit, I suppose, but yeah, it's definitely getting dark now. The sun's already set, so I'm just going to start tidying up and then leave it for tonight and then carry on tomorrow. Hey, welcome back. So it's the morning and I've still got a few more things to do, mainly tidying up jobs, but I've got a few things to do, so I'll give you a rundown of what I've got to do today. So I've got to mount the fuel tank a bit better. I've tried mounting it to this bit of wood. The wood's fine and secure, but the bolts, the screws that was supplied with the fuel tank weren't long enough to go through all the way through the wood, so they're kind of not properly secured in. It's alright when I do this, but obviously you can imagine I put like 10 litres of fuel in it and we go over bumps and stuff. I don't quite trust it because it did pull out yesterday, so what I'm going to do with that is find some bolts and then bolt it, like instead of screwing it in, I'm going to bolt it actually to this bit of wood so it definitely can't move. And then after I've done that, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to lay the pipe in and secure it all up. I'm probably going to run it over the arch and then down the back there, and I'm going to secure that in with some like little white clips that you can nail in. And then I've got to sort out the heater box, which is back down there. I need to sort out a housing for that, and then after that, probably one of the major jobs I've got to do today, or maybe not today but maybe tomorrow as well, because I don't know if I'll be able to get the stuff that I need. If I come under the van, hopefully you can see. So if I come under here, you can see back there the exhaust outlet and the inlet for the air both have holes around them, and obviously I don't want to leave them just holes because obviously you might get water splash up if you go over a puddle, and the exhaust fumes might come back in, which obviously you definitely don't want that. So I need to figure out something to obviously put around them holes and secure them. I'm probably going to look at some heat sealant, because I've got some caravan sealant, but obviously that's not really made for high temperatures, and obviously the exhaust gets really hot. So yeah, I need to get something sorted for that. And then what I can definitely do today is sort out the muffler on here, put the muffler on here, and then secure it all in place. I'm going to secure it up to the van somewhere around here. Yeah, so I've got to sort them out, but that's the task for today. Alright, so what I've done with this one, instead of actually getting bolts like I said I was going to do, that was the original screw that was in it. I don't know if it will lock on. That was the original screw that was in it. Let me hide my face. And that is what I've actually put in. So basically I've just put in a longer screw. I don't know if you can see if it was showing up, but yeah, I've just put in a longer screw and that seems to be doing it. So I've only put one in so far and I'm giving that a real good shake and it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to do that with the other two and then hopefully that sorts that out. The problem is the washers are made for the bit smaller screw, so they're definitely a tighter fit, but they go over, so that's task one done. So the solution I had for mounting the fuel line was just some simple masking tape. I had looked for some other things we had lying around, but they just wouldn't work quite as well. Hopefully this masking tape lasts for a little while. I'm not too sure how long it'll last. If I have to put more up, I'll just put a bit more up after, or I'll find a permanent solution to it at a later date. But it's nice and neat now, so let me give you a quick look around it. So you can see the fuel line down there. It just comes around the corner, it's taped down there, runs up along the back of the, on the top of the arch of the wheel, and then down behind that post, steady on, and then comes around this side, behind the post here, comes around into the fuel pump, and then down and underneath into the actual diesel heater that's there. Now I'm going to get on with sorting out the exhaust system. I've managed to mount up the air inlet, and I've mounted up the exhaust as well, and they're all tucked away, so let me show you how I've put them. I don't know if you can really see, but I've mounted the air inlet over here. That's mounted up and out of the way, and then on the complete opposite end I've mounted the exhaust up here. The only thing I wanted to make sure was it was out of the way, and I wanted to have it vertically because there's a little drain hole here, so if any like build up of fluid or anything, it will just drip out of there. So you definitely want to have it that way around rather than like horizontal. You definitely want it vertical. The only thing is I don't know if the fumes will bounce against this metal block here, and then hopefully it just bounces off and comes down, and doesn't bounce off and come back. It shouldn't come back all the way back there to the air intake, so it should be fine anyway, but I haven't tested it yet. The only task I've still got to do is sort out the holes where they actually come through the floor. I'm going to get some, I think it's called, I can't remember what it's called, exhaust repair bondage or something like that, and wrap some of that around it, and then maybe put some heat sealant around that as well, because I definitely want them sealed up as best as I can, and it obviously has to be heat proof, or heat resistant, sorry, to obviously resist all the heat that's going to come off this exhaust, which is, I imagine they're going to get really hot. Alright, so I've just quickly tidied the piping up. What I've done, where I put the tape, I've just got these little brass clips and screwed them in over the tape. So it's kind of like a double whammy. I've got the tape holding it down, and then I've also got the brass holding it down over the tape as well. And because it's masking tape, you can't really see it. So they shouldn't move, but if obviously I need them to move, they can. But that's all them tidied up. Alright, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update of how it's going. Basically, it's been a few days since I've installed the heater, and we've used it every night since then, and every morning actually as well, because it's been pretty cool the last few days, and it's worked perfectly fine. I've had no issues with it. It's not skipped a beat, there's been no smoke, it's been completely fine. But what I have done is I've bought this Holt's Gun Gum exhaust paste, which is what I'm going to fill the holes with around the exhaust holes and the inlet, air inlet holes like I told you about. But I'm not going to be able to do it for a few days because I'm busy working at the minute. Also, I'm not going to be able to do the cover for the actual heater as well for a few days, so that's going to have to get put off again for at least for a few days. So they're not going to be in this video, but they'll be up in one of the vlogs that will be coming up shortly after. They're not the mega important, you know what I mean, we're not moving the van around, we're not really travelling in it at the minute, we're kind of basically stationary on Tabitha's mum's drive, so it's not really that much of a big issue. So I'm just going to leave it like it is for a few days, but it's all working fine, which is good, and we're nice and toasty in there. We had up to like 22 degrees the other night, so literally it was beautiful. It was like a sauna. I managed to sit there with my top off. The first time in a month I was sat indoors with my top off. So yeah, it's works really well, especially for the £100. It's dead worth it. So if you're thinking of getting one, they're not that bad to install either. You just got to take your time, make sure you kind of go through it step by step, and you should be fine, to be fair. So yeah, I definitely recommend it, and until next time, thanks for watching.